Well, this Sunday afternoon, evening edition of Cardinal Territory was supposed to be a series recap of the Cardinals Rays series in Tampa, but that game has yet to be played. It's around 2:30 Central Time as we record this. First pitch was scheduled for 11:10. Severe weather at George Steinbrenner Field. Who could have forecasted that in the late August? Certainly not us. And we should be used to Cardinals rain delays anyway, because as Bernie and I were just saying before we logged on for the show, it's probably been the worst weather year for the St. Louis Cardinals all season long. So we have no update for you right now for the game. The Rays released an announcement about an hour ago saying they were hopeful to begin this game around 3 p.m. Central Time, weather permitting. And then this bad boy went out about 10 minutes ago. I'll read it to you because it just made me laugh. It's so fitting for the weather trials and tribulations we've had this year from the Tampa Bay Rays about 15 minutes ago. Weather conditions have worsened and we are reassessing the situation. We continue to monitor and we'll provide an update as more information becomes available. So no estimated time frame for first pitch. We don't even know if this game is going to be played. So no series recap, but guess what? We're still here to break down some Cardinals things. Welcome back to
Yeah. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt. Yeah. I mean, I do care about the outcome of this game. I think it'd be good for the Cardinals to win, a back-to-back series. But then again, does it really matter whether they have a 4-2 road trip or a 3-3 road trip? I mean, again, I'm not trying to demean them, but it just doesn't matter all that much. So yeah, I think the show must go on, Katie. The rain doesn't affect us. It's dry in my house. So I'm sure it's dry where you are. So
St. Louis.
Yeah.
Isn't it funny? We were talking about this. It seems like every homestand, the weather is awful. Then the Cardinals go on the road. It becomes beautiful in St. Louis. And wherever they're on the road, the weather is equally as bad. So the good news is, if you are so inclined to come watch 4 thrilling games against the Cardinals and Pirates next week, it looks to be perfect baseball weather, 75 degrees, minimal humidity. Yeah, who wouldn't want to see that? Who wouldn't want to see Cardinals Pirates 4 games during the week in August? Check it out. Come to Busch Stadium with us.
See Paul Skeens pitch, I guess. I don't know. Well, maybe he's not scheduled. I don't know. I haven't even looked ahead. I'm well prepared for this show today, Katie.
You and me both. I don't even know how it became 2:30 this afternoon. My day is derailed. You know what, Bernie? I think as we progress to September, this won't be the Cardinal September where they're making their usual playoff push, right? This is a sad September. We're going to be spending a lot of time focusing on next year's roster. And there are a lot of things that haven't gone well for the Cardinals. There are a lot of problems they need to address. There will be plenty of questions about Chaim Bloom's transition and what the new front office will look like. And we'll have plenty of time to discuss that. But I think we could all use some positivity right now. So I'm officially deeming this a Cardinal Territory #positive episode. And I thought you and I could talk about a couple things that we're either excited about or confident about next year from a player perspective. So my first question for you: which Cardinal starting pitcher are you most confident in next year?
I'm going to say Matthew Liberatore, and perhaps that's counterintuitive because he got off to that great start. His first 10 starts this year were magnificent. He really was statistically one of the best starting pitchers in baseball. And then whether we want to say he hit that wall, whether we say it's just, hey, this transition is starting in the major leagues for the first time. I mean, a full-time starter. He hadn't done that for a long time, or he hadn't done that in the majors. I'm sorry. And yeah, I think each individual pitcher is different. And in his case, I think the pileup of innings, obviously got to him. Thankfully for him and the Cardinals, he wasn't injured per se, but he just didn't have great stuff for a while. And he had to develop some survival skills. And I think I've really liked the way he's handled all of this. I'm not saying it's been handsome the whole way, because it hasn't, but you can see him bouncing back some. You can see the life returning to his pitches. And Katie, I looked at, I've taken the season in its entirety so far. We know there was a great part and a not good part, but he's basically, I was looking at his adjusted ERA or ERA plus. He's basically a league average pitcher. But I actually think that's good, because if in fact he got through the hard part, the part where, things he didn't have sizzle, right? If he gets through that, I think it'll set him up for next season. He'll know what it's like. His arm will be used to it. He'll train accordingly, everything like that. I think it sets him up to have a really nice season next year, because I think the maturity, not only mental maturity, but the physical maturity, he'll be in better he'll be in a better spot going into next season.
I agree. From the Libby standpoint, I think we've talked all season about how much this was 1000% the correct decision for the organization to do in terms of seeing what he has as a full season as a starting pitcher. This Cardinals transition season, as we know, was designed to let the organization know what they have in a player after a full season of work. Not April, not a couple months, not a first half or a second half, an entire season. And they identified very early on which players they wanted to see that in, and Libby was one of them. So of course, there are going to be ups and downs, and Libby's had his fair share of setbacks. I really like how he responded after his last start in Miami. Was hoping to see him build off that today. Who's to know if he actually will pitch today. But I like what we're seeing in Libby because he has, with each setback, had the right mentality to overcome it. And the innings limit or, career innings that he was coming up on, that's a real thing. But the only way you're going to get past that as a pitcher is to pitch through it. And the Cardinals have been, I will say this about them, so cognizant and so detailed about pitching usage and innings limits and keeping their arms healthy. I really like what we've seen out of Libby. I hope he can finish the season strong in September, log more innings, get that velo up, sustain it. And I think come next year, if he is your number 3 or number 4, okay, that's fine. I wouldn't pick him as my most confident one, though I do have confidence in Libby. I would go with McGreevy, and maybe that's recency bias, but I just really like what we've seen out of his demeanor because it hasn't been easy for him all season long. We know that it's been a very unorthodox year for Michael McGreevy in terms of how the organization has used him. But he's come up, and whether he's been hit hard or whether he's had success, he's the same even-keeled guy in the clubhouse. He's laughing around, he's joking, he's comfortable, and he's still so serious. I think he has the makeup of a true mid-rotation starter. And I think that if the Cardinals start the season in 2026 and Matthew Liberatore and Michael McGreevy are the 3 and 4 pitchers in your rotation, or 4 and 5, that's pretty good. Okay, you'll take those guys as back-end starters. The issue that I have here, Bernie, is that the Cardinals don't have 3 starters to slot above them right now. You're not going to put Andre Palante up there. If Sonny Gray stays, sure, he's the number 1, obviously. They're not bringing back Miles Michaelis. And you can make the argument right now that the best 3 pitchers in the organization are Sonny Gray, Matthew Liberatore, and Mike McGreevy. But is that a rotation that's going to, I don't know, spark fear in an opponent? Is that a rotation that's really setting those guys up for success? Michael McGreevy and Matthew Liberatore next year, to be confident in their abilities and their careers, should be the back end of the rotation. If you have them trying to produce like a number 2 or 3 or a 1 or a 2, that'd be worst case scenario. I'm not sure you're setting them up best for success. So in my perfect world, Matthew Liberatore, Michael McGreevy, 3 or 4, 4 and 5, and I'm really confident in what they'd be able to do at this point in their early careers as back end starters.
No, I agree. And I think we basically, I think the both of us would put McGreevy and Liberatore in the same category. I mean, there's a lot to like about both of them. And I think we both agree that the best is yet to come. And I look at McGreevy, just to dovetail on your point. The thing that impresses me is that, all right, does he throw 97? No. Is he going to strike out a bunch of guys? No. But if you look at some of the underlying metrics, and me, I do, get into that stuff. His ability to locate pitches exactly where he wants them to go, he's way above average in that part. He's way above average in some other things, like individual pitches. I won't get too deep in the weeds here, but he's a guy with exceptional control. And the Cardinals as a rotation early in the season, the first couple months, they were among the 3 or 4 best teams in the majors at locating their pitches. And then that all went to hell for a lot of them. Right. But McGreevy is the guy that if you look at the minor leagues, and I know Baseball America had a thing where they were talking about best tools they saw in the minors this year. And they mentioned McGreevy for his ability to locate and hit his spots and his control. So he's the type of pitcher, he's got a bulldog mentality. He's a great competitor. He's really, really smart. He doesn't have to throw 97, 96 to be effective because he really, really, really knows how to pitch, and he doesn't beat himself because he doesn't walk people, and he works quickly, and he adjusts during games. How many times have we seen him do that where he has like the Dodgers got to him? There was another game, somebody got to him early. and then he just shuts them down after that. He's so smart. He adjusts within the game, and for an inexperienced major league starter, that's a really good ability to have. So no, I'm with you. I think Liberatore's physical talent can be outstanding. He just has to be able to, build up that arm to the point where starting pitching and throwing 180 innings is nothing for him, and he can sort of glide through it. But these guys are both, to me, potentially exciting, but for different reasons.
I agree. And I think you make two strong points about McGreevy there. When you are a pitch to contact guy, such as he is, the worst thing you can do is walk batters. And to your point, he rarely does issue a walk. So he does a nice job of putting himself in positions to succeed. And his adaptability, his ability to adjust and recover mid-start, that's huge. That's a sign of a pitcher that I think is only going to continue improving and excelling at a much faster rate than maybe a lot of his competitors. Because a lot of times, especially where we are right now in an industry, these pitchers need a start to recover. All right. Gone are the days where a veteran, veterans now can, of course, adjust mid-game. But rookies coming up, young guys, it's very hard for them to do that. They need almost an entire start to start over a clean slate. McGreevy doesn't need that, to your point, Bernie. He's been able to adjust mid-game really well, and that's encouraging. So,
well, I want to ask you this, and again, we've emphasized a couple of pitchers that we're really positive about. What do we make of Sonny Gray? Because Sonny Gray, he's just up and down. He's all over the place. I just don't know what to expect from him start to start. And that's not good if you're talking about someone who should be your prototype number one starter. And the thing with having problems in the heat, I'm not making fun of him. I'm not trying to denigrate him for that. But gosh, summers get pretty hot, and I don't know. His July ERA as a Cardinal starter, it's like in the sevens, I think. And it's like, when Sonny Gray is on, man, he is a pleasure to watch, and he deals. He is fantastic. But there have been way too many games where, you're like, oh gosh, what's going on here? So I don't look, he's a very talented guy, and he's a competitive guy. He'll be 36 next season, and I'm just not sure what to make of him at this point, and he'll also be making $35 million next season, the backloaded contract. So anyway, I talked too much about Gray. I asked you the question, then I started talking, but what do you think? Is there something I'm overlooking?
No, I don't think so. And in one defense of Sonny Gray, when you look at the Cardinals' overall record on days that he starts, they have won. And I don't know the record off the top of my head because I haven't checked since last start, but they've won an overwhelming majority of those games. I'm with you, though. He's had a couple of clunkers this year, much more than usual, more frequently, that have really spiraled out of his control. And I talked about this on last episode. I'm not sure if he's here next year. And that's speculation. Okay. To clear this up, I've had no conversations with anyone in the organization that would dictate this. This is just my gut feeling, and I've been wrong before. But to your point about the backloaded contract, $35 million is a lot to pay for one player for a team that's looking to rebuild and scale back on payroll to an extent and look towards the future. Sonny Gray has a no trade clause. I wonder if he's wanting to go to and play competitive games because he is 36 years old and he's had a very decorated career, very talented pitcher. I'd wonder if he is here next year. If he is, okay, the Cardinals have a veteran that, they know is going to take the ball every 5 days. Cool. If they don't, that is a lot of pitching to fill. And as we know, Bernie, they don't really have a lot of pitching internally. So either way, it's a problem. And I think it'll be very interesting to monitor the early offseason on how Chaim Bloom approaches that situation, because I'm not all that convinced Sonny Gray will be in St. Louis next year. But again, clarifying one more time for the people at home, that is just my speculation. There's been no actual reporting to back that up. That's just a gut feeling.
And I think maybe I think that speculation is got some footing because your colleague Ken Rosenthal, the Athletic, when he was here for the Yankees Cardinals game on that Saturday, he said he talked to Sonny Gray, and Sonny Gray in effect indicated he'd be willing to listen about waiving his no trade clause. So if he's saying it's something he would consider, well, that kind of changes the outlook for that, because until now he's always said no, I like it here, and he does like it here. Yes. But again, he'll be 36, and what if the Atlanta Braves want him? They're closer to where he lives than St. Louis is. It's really interesting. By the way, since I can multitask, I looked it up. This year, in the 2 years that Gray's been a starting pitcher for the Cardinals, They're 36-18 in his starts, including 19-7 this year. And I don't know that 19-7. I'm sure there were some games there where he benefited from run support, but I'm a big see. I never look at a pitcher's individual record. I swear I don't. I think the team's record tells you a lot more.
Agreed.
When a guy starts, because a lot of it has to do, his teammates are confident. They believe in him, and everybody knows. They go into it thinking, even if they don't, they go into a start thinking, okay, Sonny's on the mound. We win at a high rate when he starts. Let's go get him. I do think psychologically that kind of thing, when you look at, they've twice as many wins as losses when he starts for a team that's been 500-ish, but for him to be, they're 18 games over 500 when he starts in the last 2 years. There is something to be said for that. It's not the end all be all stat. I just think I think it does tell us a lot more than an individual win-loss record where you have to depend on the bullpen, you have to depend on the offense, you have to depend on the defense. There's something about him that this team, his teammates buy in when he's on the mound, and I think that's an important thing, because confidence for a team that's kind of in the middle, it's kind of hard to have that confidence all the time.
I'm with you, Bernie. I'm with you. It'll be an interesting situation to monitor going forward for sure. I will say this low bar, I know, but this offseason should be a lot more interesting than last year's. All right, we did the pitching side to this. We'll get to the position player side after a message from DraftKings. The dog days of summer are here, and in Missouri, that means it's baseball season in full swing. Whether you're up in Kansas City or St. Louis, it's your time to shine and score big. Download the Pick 6 app, the easiest way to turn your baseball takes into cold, hard cash. It's crazy simple. Just pick more or less on the stats for 2 or more of your favorite players, and boom, you're in the mix for big cash prizes. No gimmicks, no weird rules. And for folks in the Show Me State, there's something special. New Pick 6 players in Missouri can jump in for free. Download the app, sign up, and you'll get $50 in bonus picks instantly. Don't miss out on this limited time offer, Missouri. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app right now and use code FOUL. That's code FOUL. Register a new account and get $50 in bonus picks instantly. Ride the upside, where a few bucks can turn into a bag, only on DraftKings Pick 6. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Must be 18 and over. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Void where prohibited. Register new Pick 6 account to receive $50 in bonus picks that expire in 7 days. Ends 8/24/25 at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time. Terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
All right. Oh, hold on. I pressed the wrong button on my screen. There you are. You went away for a second. Yeah. All right. Bernie, talked about the pitching. Naturally, we're going to talk about the position playing side, which I think is somehow even more complicated than the pitching side. But the positive episode, I'm reminding myself, positive vibes. Which position player are you most confident in next year?
Oh boy, that's such a good question. There are several candidates, and I don't think I know I'm not, and I don't think you're going to go overboard with maybe overstating how good somebody is or whatever. But there's been some encouraging performances this year. But I have to tell you, even though, and I looked it up, just wanted to be sure, even though he is below average offensively, he's basically league average, but he's a little bit under. I love Mason Wynn. I love what he does for this team. He is a guy to build around. His defense is impeccable. He's according to outs above average, he's the best defensive player any position in the game this year. And I'm very confident that the offense will come. I think it will come. Listen, we know that he's very talented, and we know that we saw his numbers on his way up in the minors. He was starting to develop to a really good hitter, and he was really good a lot of the time last year. And he faded. He got tired kind of late. And yeah, you do worry about that knee. You do worry about him getting banged up. And I think Ali Marmol, this is just my opinion, and I've talked to him about this. I think he needs to be a little more careful. Let's talk about 2026, not to wear certain guys down. They want to play. They're great competitors. Mason Wynn wants to play every day, and I love that. But sometimes you have to sort of protect the player from himself. And the last thing they need is to have Mason Wynn banged up a lot of times because he plays so hard. But I think offensively he's got so much upside. It's still amazing to me that he's only 23 years old. He's a firebrand. He's smart as could be. You never have to worry about his level of compete I mean, it's all there. The only thing's missing is he's got to get that offense above average and continue to grow in that area. And I think he will.
So I was convinced you were going to go somebody else, and I was actually going to go Mason Wynn.
Well, go.
Look at us on the
You
same
should have told me.
No,
I would have deferred, and I could have picked
fine.
somebody else.
I think this actually proves our point that Mason Wynn is my player I'm most confident in next year. And there are other players you can go. Like you can go Donovan, but you know what Donovan is, all right?
Right,
And
right.
there weren't any questions about who Donovan was coming into this year. You could go Herrera from an offensive standpoint, but there are too many questions about where he fits on the field for me. And the last thing the Cardinals need is another DH, although at least this one would be right-handed. What a concept. But Mason Wynn, I'm trying hard to be positive. Mason Wynn is when you look at what he was able to do this year as a defensive shortstop, he solidified that position. And he is still so young and has so much more growth ahead of him. I don't think he's even touched his ceiling. I know Ollie Marmol thinks the same. I'm with you. The offense should tick up a little bit. If he's right around league average in his second full year in the majors, based on what he's doing defensively, okay. I think the only reason that we're a little disappointed by that is because we know he could be so much more. And that's going to take some time. But who Mason Wynn is as a player, he's a competitor. He's gritty. He grinds it out, and I think the more he plays, the more comfortable he's going to be, the more that offense is going to come. Most importantly, the more that base running is going to come, because he can be a true three-way threat defensively, offensively, and on the bases here. He just has to trust his stuff a little bit more. But I'm excited and confident to see what Mason Wynn does at shortstop. I think he is minimum one of the top defensive shortstops in the league, if not top three. And that offense will come. I think it's so exciting to think about what the player he could be, just given what we've seen from him so far. I'm all board on the Mason Wynn train. So, Bernie, that's two votes for Mason from us.
Well, absolutely. And I think scouts would say the same thing. Now, just to throw in another element to this, because I love this discussion. If I were to say, or if you were to ask me, for example, is there a sleeper for next season, or is there somebody that may not be at the forefront of everybody's mind? And I would say, yeah, I got that guy, because I think the progress Nolan Gorman has made has been fantastic. Now, I know he's still, even though like since late May, he's going very, very well. And I know he still strikes out 29-30% of the time. I'm not saying he's perfect, but all these areas where he absolutely needed to improve in, swing and miss rate, chase rate, walk rate, which is really high, all of these things that he was really bad in and where the arrow was just pointing down and getting worse, he's cleaned all that up and his plate discipline is there. He's still going to have 2 strikeout games, but he has less of them. And the thing I love about what he's been doing since late May has been drawing walk after walk after walk after walk. So I've had some people that read me and watch my videos, and they're a little cynical. They think I'm a little too positive about Gorman, and I understand that. I mean, he's got to prove over a long period of time. But when I see him not hacking at everything, and I see him content to take walks, and I see a guy that no longer is going to like beat himself all the time. He's not as easy as out as he used to be, not even close. So he's not going to do the pitchers favored by hacking at stuff, it's a foot outside or whatever. When you see a guy like since late May, he's got a walk rate that's like 13%. And, he's either first or second in every major category on this team. And even his batting average since late May is 251. I think he's coming. I really do. And I know, what about the defense, Bernie? I know, got to smooth that out. He's got to get better. But I think he has finally figured something out at the plate. And I think if you're the Cardinals, that's pretty exciting.
I couldn't agree with you more. And that walk rate, not only is it a career high, I think it's 13.2% coming into play Sunday. It's also in the top 8% of baseball. And when you're looking at the strides Nolan Gorman needed to make offensively, we talked about this before, it's about the approach. There's always going to be swing and miss in his game. That's the trade-off for power. But there couldn't be a swing and miss rate, a strikeout percentage of nearly 40% like last year. That's just not competitive. That will not fly at the major league level. So how do you fix that? You change your approach. And all the underlying metrics suggest that those changes are happening. A higher walk rate. I think a strikeout rate is under 30% this year. So that's super encouraging given to where it was at this point last
Right.
year. The whiff rate's down, the average is up a little bit, and he hasn't sacrificed a ton of his power at the expense of that. So yeah, the defense is going to be a concern. They're still trying to find a position for him. They can't have next year 7 left-handed DHs. Okay, they just can't do it. But I like what we've seen from Gorman, and I'm interested to see how September looks for him as he closes out the season. Another guy that I think is kind of under the radar right now and is taking advantage of opportunity that he probably wasn't going to get, but because Nolan Arenado got hurt, he's back. We're seeing better selection and better quality of contact from Thomas Saggese. I think the biggest criticism you can make from Saggese this year, minus the fact that he was just a little raw and a little inexperienced, was that he swung at pretty much everything. And he's a contact hitter. He's a good hitter, so I get it. But we're seeing him have slightly better approach and get acclimated more and more to the major leagues. I like that he can play around the diamond. I like that each week you seem to find gradual improvement. I'm not saying that he's a superstar or someone to build around next year, but for a player who wasn't supposed to see a lot of playing time in the majors this year, but because of injuries and because of availability he has, the second half we're seeing a lot of improvement from Saggese, and that excites me going into 2026 for him.
And I would throw in, because this, again, I'm enjoying this discussion. I think Alec Burleson has checked a lot of boxes this year. You know, that last season, if you go by weighted runs created plus, he was 6% above league average offensively. This year, he's 20%. So this is a second year in a row he's taken a pretty big leap. But what I like about it is he's swinging at more strikes, and that was a huge thing he had to do. He makes contacts with pitches wherever they are. So he was making contact last year, even though he's really good. But when he sort of faded out late, or when he had problems early, the root cause of it was he was swinging and connecting with the pitcher's pitch rather than his pitch. You know, so yeah, a guy can throw it a foot outside. He'll still put the ball in play. He's got great bat to ball skills, but he's being more selective. He's punishing strikes a lot more consistently than he did last year. And he seems to be waiting for a pitch that he can drive. So, he's 26 years old. He's not a kid, and he's got, about almost 1,500 career plate appearances. So he's not a baby, but these last 2 years, we have seen what he can become. And I thought this year was a big year for him because he got above average last year, but there were still some bad habits. It's swing decisions, basically. This year, we've seen him take it to another level, and I think there's even another level. Because anybody that strong and anybody that has such superb contact skills like he does, the more refined his approach, the more the ball will fly, more extra base hits. I think he's got a chance to maybe, take it up to 35% above average next season. So it sounds weird because you and I are being optimistic about several Cardinals hitters, but listen, the entire offense has not been good this year. We all know that. But that doesn't mean we should dismiss or condemn everybody who's in the lineup. There are some bright spots. The problem is they're just going to have to add on to that. And they're going to have to do the things you and I have talked about. They're going to have to alleviate these log jams. They're going to have to offload a left-handed bat or two. So, but I do think it's important to recognize there's some good stuff here. Even though we all get down on the team, let's be fair. There really are some good things happening with some of these individual hitters.
Agreed. And we talked about this before, Bernie, but there are plenty of supplementary pieces on this roster. The pieces just don't always fit because they are redundant. But once you clear that out and you have a better constructed active roster coming into next year or in 2027, some of these pieces can really augment a lineup. They just need a star or two to build around. That's not coming this year. That's not coming in 2026. But if you're looking for the future, the long-term future of this organization, some of these players and what they're showing right now, I mean, we just went through 4 of them, as they hit maybe the peak and the prime of their careers, will be key instrumental role players. Then hopefully the organization is in a better spot to add a couple of stars, and you'll see the Cardinals hopefully on the mend in a couple of years. That would be the dream, I would say.
Right. And one other thing to mention, since we're talking about next season, I mean, JJ Weatherholt, we already knew that this dude is potentially a great hitter as far as like batting average, drawn walks, things like that. The one question that I think was almost universally held by independent evaluators is that, listen, he's probably not going to be a 20 to 25 home run guy. Although your colleague, my friend, Keith Law, had started to change his assessment and was saying, I think Keith Law told me, he said, no, the power is going to come. It's just a matter of when it's going to come. He's just too good of a hitter to where he understands what he's got to do to hit for more power without like sort of breaking his whole swing and messing himself up. And it's actually phenomenal this year, the way he has made adjustments and he is hitting for power now, a lot of power. Like every level he's been, you look at A ball last summer, then you look at AA for the first part of this year, now AAA. His isolated power number and his slugging percentage, that stuff is just going up and up and up and up. And, you look at him at Memphis, the dude is slugging 650 in Memphis. And yet he hasn't sacrificed plate discipline. I mean, he's still drawing a ton of walks. He is striking out a little bit more, but he has not like sacrificed contact or being able to hit for high average or draw walks. He hasn't sacrificed that, even though he has adjusted his swing to get more pull power, get the ball in the air to the pull side. But this tells us why he's such a great hitter, because he's waiting for pitches to do that. He's not just going up there to randomly helter-skelter try to pull a home run. He knows when he sees the ball coming out of a pitcher's hand, he knows right away, oh, that's something I can drive. And it's because he's so smart. So I was really excited about J.J. Weatherholt before this, but then it's like, well, wait a minute now. He's turning on pitches and hitting them a mile, and he's slugging 650. It's like, whoa. So there was a lot more power there, and we're starting to see it. That's pretty exciting if you're a Cardinals fan. You got to be excited about that.
See, Cardinals fans, so much to look forward to. It's not always doom and gloom. Well, at least not on this episode. No. All right, we'll hear from Arena Club, and we'll wrap this episode up real quick. Guess what? Still no time frame for when this game could start. It is what it is. We'll be right back.
Okay, Kratz. I opened up Arena Club, put my own money in there, and I wasn't going to go big. I know we went over the Ruby pack a week ago. This time, I just went for the low-level pack, where it's an easy entry point, $25. You can get yourself a big boy card. The Grail has many good options. I slice open the pack. We're looking at it if you're watching us right now. And I pull a card from the 1950s. Super cool. I enjoyed the experience looking at it. It's Jim Gilliam. It's a top set from the mid-50s. It's cool. It's a Brooklyn Dodger, but it's worth more than the card. Like I said, I'm going to sell it back. I got $28 instantly, so I can buy another one of those packs and try and get what I want.
Absolutely. The excitement, I heard Kip say it before, the excitement's in the chase. You sold it back. Now you get to open another one. I enjoy when you slide it across the screen there and the pack opens.
You know where to go. arenaclub.com/foul. 20% off your first slab pack or card purchase. Get after it.
Okay, so for those of you wondering why the Cardinals, who are now in hour 4 of a rain delay, it's not funny. It's not funny. If I was in Tampa right now, I would be irate. There is nothing worse when you are a beat writer to be on the very last day of a road trip on getaway day and have a home game on the next day than to have a delay, because you're not making any of your flights. You're going to have to scramble, both, especially if you're on deadline. Then you got to fly out the first thing on Monday morning. It's going to cost your company so much money. And then you're going to show up to the first game, the homestand, just completely done, just completely exhausted, and you'll never get a chance to catch up. So my sympathies, my heartfelt sympathies to the riders braving the elements out in Tampa, but still no update. And the reason why the Cardinals and Rays are waiting so long to draw this out, I believe, is because there is no mutual off day that works for both teams for the rest of the season. So they almost have to play today. I don't know if the weather is going to let them. Then it becomes complicated. I don't really know if either of these teams are going to have playoff implications, so maybe it won't. But too early, not late enough in the season to firmly dictate that. So maybe we'll see Matthew Liberatore tonight. If not, we'll probably see him Monday to kick off a 4-game set. And no, I also don't know the Pirates probables. I'll get there. But I'm excited to see McGreevy pitch this homestand. Palante needs to show something. I don't know what. Got to show something this homestand. And then 3, I guess, kind of competitive series or games against the Reds coming up this weekend. Bernie, as we end this episode on a positive note, like the positive people that we are, what's one thing that you are hoping to see from the team against the Pirates?
That's a really good question. I just want to see more consistent bats from this offense. You know, we all know it's a limited offense as far as upside, but I want to see better situational hitting. I want to see maybe less chasing. They just need to be a little sharper minded about their approach. And over a long period of the season, I mean, you'll go through phases where you're just not sharp. You're tired. You're mentally tired, and people don't want to hear it, but it's true. It's the nature of the schedule.
It's
You get
August.
mentally, yeah, right. And but there's still a lot of guys that have a lot to prove, and they know they're playing for future considerations. And so I never have doubted at any point their motivation. There was one series where I thought they didn't maybe compete as well as I was used to seeing them, and I was a little disappointed in that. But I never doubt that they're going to compete and play hard. They went through that stretch, obviously, where you look up and it's the second inning and you're down 5-0 all the time. You're not going to look that great. Yeah, when you're in that deep of a hole over and over and over again, you're going to look flat. That's just the nature. That's human nature. But anyway, yeah, I just would like to see this offense get more consistent, because it's been kind of a long, slow, gradual decline for this as a team. I'd like to see them finish strong.
All right, let's manifest that. Some more consistency, some good weather. We're going to finally, hopefully, fingers crossed, have the windows down in the press box. Haven't had that since May. Yeah, Bernie, this was fun. Hopefully our viewers can find some silver linings here as we finish the season, for as natural and justified as the frustration and apathy is about this team. I do think at least we have a path forward. It might be a little bit of a lengthy one, but at least we're no longer sitting where we were a couple of seasons ago with a big question mark, like, when is this going to get better? I think the Cardinals are on their way to having it get better. It's going to take some time, but there's a blueprint. There's a foundation in place, so hopefully the team can stick to it. A couple of housekeeping items for you all. You can visit the CardinalTerritoryShop.com for a first look at new merch. I used my Cardinal Territory mug this morning. And I have a Cardinal Territory duffel bag, which is great because I've decided to drive to Cincinnati. So I need to use it for my luggage. Why I'm driving to Cincinnati? Oh, because I forgot to book a flight and they're too expensive. So that is why. It wasn't really a decision. It was you loser, you had one job. So go check out the merch. We're hovering right around 4.5 thousand subscribers. Let's get to 5K. We'll do a giveaway. Really appreciate all the support of the show. I know Bernie does too. Bernie, what do you got cooking up next week?
Oh, just the usual. I will be doing some for STL Sports Central. I'll be doing some college football stuff this week. Mizzou opens their season on Thursday. I love college football. What are you doing? Who are you waving there? What is that? That's right. That's right. Of course. Please
number
forgive me.
11 in the country. Only going up from here.
They were awfully good, man. It was a great story last year. So no, I'm looking forward to college football. Katie, one of the reasons why, and people think I'm just making this up, I'm not. One of the reasons why I had a big decision to make, whether to leave the Post-Dispatch or stay, and I was doing the you write down the reasons to go, reasons to stay, and the tipping point was, well, I wouldn't have to travel 100 150 nights a year anymore. That was number one. Number two, I get to watch, if I quit the newspaper business, I get to watch all the college football I want every Saturday from 11 a.m. all the way up until midnight.
Yes.
And
Pac-12 after never forget.
I love watching college football. Like, you have no idea how excited I am every Saturday morning. So yeah, so I'm pretty fired up, because I know there were some games this weekend, but this coming Saturday, let's go. Ohio State versus Texas. That's pretty good. That's a pretty good game.
So I feel like college football is the one sport that I can really still be a fan of, because I have like some weird personal connection, obviously, because I went to Arizona State. So I'm very invested in their all of a sudden good again football program. And there is nothing better than like a November Saturday afternoon. There's like a chill in the air and you're sitting down and you watch college football all day. And someone call that degeneracy. I would tell them to get a life, because there is really nothing like that type of Saturday when it starts in the morning. And then, if your team plays in the afternoon, they better win, because the rest of the games after that are done. But in my perfect world, ASU goes undefeated and I'm happy for the rest of the off season. So look, Cardinals fans, this season is like whatever. But if you have a college football team, Mizzou, I don't know, if you're Mike Gersh, Notre Dame on the rise, probably doesn't want to face ASU in any bowl game. I get that, but there are things to look forward to in this positivity, right?
And then you see, I grew up in Annapolis and I love Navy football.
Yep.
See that? See,
I
I
see it.
proudly display that Navy. I watch all their games too. So yeah, there's like a little kid. This
I
is
can
like
tell,
the
though. I'm
great.
excited.
It's one of the great weeks of the year. So anyway,
All right,
thanks.
Bernie.
I'm fired up. We talked a little college football. I love it.
I know, and only good things. If ASU loses, don't ever talk to me. But if they win, expect me to bring it up on this show for the rest of the season. So yay.
Yep.
All right, Bernie. We will
Thanks.
talk again, Cardinal Territory friends, next week. Got some fun things lined up in terms of interviews once I actually nail those down, but I promise I'm getting to that. For Bernie, I'm Katie. Thanks for watching Cardinal Territory. Maybe the Cardinals will play a game today, maybe not, but either way, we'll be back with you next week.